Pittsburgh Steelers have the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. Mike Tomlin's been around a long time. He's never had a losing season as a coach for the Steelers, which is remarkable. I think it's been 14 years doing so. Cincinnati Bengals decided to post a video on their social media of TJ Hushmanzada using a terrible towel, which was created by Myron Cope, double yoy, Myron Cope, the local voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who has now passed away, who created the terrible towel, using it as a foot rag, basically, disrespecting the terrible towel. We've seen this before. Lendale White with the Tennessee Titans did something with the terrible towel. He jumped on it, stomped on it, and then the Steelers won, I think, by 100 the next game. Are you expecting the same thing for the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Tomlin, and the boys in Pittsburgh, to see them disrespect the Steelers on social media, and they're going to go out there and get Joey Burrow's ass?
Well, I thought just after they tweeted that, it was a good reminder to everyone that they haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. So also, I don't believe in curses and stuff like that, but after they did that after TJ Hushmanzada did that last time, Kimo von Oelhoffen snapped Carson Palmer's leg, so I hope that doesn't happen to Joe Burrow.
By the way, it changed the rule in the game. It was actually deemed incredibly disgusting, and they changed an entire rule because of it, but I understand what you're referring to.
And I don't know if they've beat the Steelers in 5 years, so I just thought it was a weird video to put out. But hey, I get it. You're trying to strum up a rivalry that's not there, but it's pretty cool. We'll see how it goes.
I love that the Cincinnati Bengals social media team was like, yo, let's mix this shit up a little bit.
Let's go.
Hey, let's go ahead and get this thing. We don't have an indoor facility. We do a little bit better on social media. Maybe our digital money can pay for an indoor facility for our team. Maybe we can really generate the comeback of the Cincinnati Bengals alongside Joey Burrow, who just got done beating the ass of the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this could be a tough one for the Steelers. And if they danced on the terrible towel's grave on social media before the game, imagine what they're going to do after if they get the dub. My Lord.
My question to you is, I said the Steelers would probably lose one of these three games against the Cowboys, Bengals, and Jaguars. Most likely the Bengals because they're the best of the three teams. And it could have happened this week, but does the players in the locker room see this? And does this do anything for the players in the Steelers locker room for any more motivation at all?
I would say with most organizations, that means absolutely nothing. That a social media person who's probably 21, 22 years old, might not even be from Cincinnati or living in Cincinnati at the time, could be working from home. I would assume in most organizations, somebody would see that and be like, whatever. It feels like the Steelers organization is like a family, like a college. We talked to Brett Kiesel a couple weeks ago, and he said he still goes and meets with the young guys. He takes them hunting. There's still a lot of like OGs talking to the newer team to carry on the traditions. And it feels like the younger players on the Steelers right now have a lot of pride in being Pittsburgh Steelers. And you don't get that in a lot of places, to be honest with you. Normally business is business. Normally players come and go so much. But the way the Steelers have operated with consistency over the years, with the humans they keep around, and for instance, this was brought up before we went in, when the new regime came into the Indianapolis Colts, day 1 or 2, they were literally painting the walls to cover up the history of the Colts. I mean, there was photos of Peyton Manning up there, Dwight Freeney, Johnny Unitas, that getting painted over basically and being like, hey, here we go. It feels like with the Steelers, like they very much appreciate the tradition of being the Steelers. And that Juan Stash story from this past weekend on NFL on Fox, where he said whenever he was about to get hired, maybe for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was coming from the Dallas Cowboys. And he basically told the story about how he told one of the Rooneys, he was like, one of the owners, Rooney family's the owners, and he was trying to pitch himself on why he should be the defense coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers coming from the Dallas Cowboys. And he was like, I'm used to handling big stage. I came from America's team, Dallas Cowboys. And Rooney was like, hey, listen, enough with that bullshit what you just said. And he told Wannstedt basically that Rozelle went to Chief, which was the original Rooney that bought the team, and pitched after the 76 season or something like that, after the Steelers probably won, and pitched the idea of the Steelers becoming America's team, basically. The first time it was going to be a marketing push, like, hey, Pittsburgh Steelers, steel town, hardworking town, and they're good, they're rough and tough. Like, this is America's team. And Chief Rooney, with a cigar in his mouth, I guess, looked at Rozelle and said, we are America's team. We're fucking Pittsburgh's team. And then the America's team, they go down to Jerry Jones, and they're like, hey, Jerry, you want to be America's team? Jerry, you're goddamn right. We'll be America Cowboys. You want us to change this Dallas name out of here real quickly. So I think the Steelers always have had a great amount of respect for the tradition of being a Steeler. And I'm not sure that's everywhere. And it's cool to witness from outside looking in. And when you hear the stories from Kiesel and you hear the stories from the players whenever they talk about older players coming back and seeing them, and Tomlin and Colbert's been there, I think, since 2001. So for the last 19 years, one guy's been running it. That's a cool thing that you kind of have in there. And it feels like this Chase Claypool, I think James Conner, even Juju, it feels like they have a lot of pride in being Steelers. Now, will that change whenever money comes around? Probably. Perhaps. I mean, that happens. But Hines, Bettis, all the guys that it just feels like the Steelers are that way. So I would think that if the players didn't feel it, there's some messages coming from ex-players that are like, hey, let's not let these motherfuckers off the hook here. I know they haven't been good for a long time. Let's do that. And I'm not sure that's everywhere. So I think that's something that's very cool about the Steelers organization. And that Wannstedt story on Sunday morning made me die. Not bad delivery either by Wannstedt.
Pretty good.
Not terrible.
Not bad. Wasn't bad. I don't know if it wasn't bad. It was a great story.